Welcome to the Pharma Sales and Tech Podcast. Tune in to stay informed, inspired, and connected with the world of pharma sales.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Stefan is here from Platforce, and we have another episode of the Pharma Sales and Tech Podcast. And I have, I would say, a very specific guest, a very interesting guest, whose name is Sotiris Bozori. He's the general manager at Evans Bioscience, and he has a very noble mission. And I think best is if Sotiris will do a small intro himself. Sotiris, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much, Stefan, for the invitation and the opportunity to interact with the community and to share my experiences. It's always great when you have this opportunity, and thank you very much for the invitation.
You're welcome. I'm really glad. We usually have on this podcast people who do some sales consultants, people work with pharma, but we don't really have people who try to combine pharma and, having such a noble mission as you have at your company. Can you talk a little bit about your company? Just introduce, what do you do?
Yes, and what this combination that you are referring to is the beauty of our job, because it's really important to wake up in the morning and have something to enjoy. So our work is most of our time daily. So here in Avanzanite, apart from the economic objective, which is obvious, we are a pharmaceutical company, there is a humanitarian one because, with orphan medicines, the problem is that many companies, big pharma, do not have the capacity to launch these drugs across all regions. So because these drugs are addressing rare diseases, so the cases are not so many. So from probably it's not profitable for all companies to go to all regions. So Avanzanite covers this gap because we are offering the opportunity to big pharma to assign us with the responsibility to launch these orphan drugs, address rare diseases across all regions where we can have the capacity to do that, because this is exactly what we are doing. And for us, it's really important that we make this happen because we really help people. And this is our mission as professionals, and this is what we most like to do.
Okay, I have a question here. So let's jump a bit to the future. How do you see the future of, say, sales innovation in the pharma industry, particularly looking at the context of orphan medicine and patient access to them?
Yes, we are living in the era of speed. So the information is traveling very fast across the globe. So this is the main difference from the past. I have started 25 years ago as a marketeer. I recall that time when I was preparing everything on my own, having no support. And of course, it was really important to go to my customers and provide them with the information they didn't have access to. Today is different. Today we are going to our customers and the customers know before us. So our goal is to explain to them how they can use this information to treat the diseases and of course offer value to their patients, because this is our mission. A patient is the final customer, I can say, the end customer. And this is what we are doing, trying to support physicians, to support healthcare professionals, executives, stakeholders, important stakeholders, support payers to understand the value of our medicines in order to pay for them. And finally, we want to give access to medicines. This is our goal.
Okay, in this case, I would say, how do you balance the economic and the humanitarian goals of Evans Bioscience while driving sales and growth?
Yes, it is balanced when it is successful. I mean, when we are successful in economics, we also we can succeed, we can perform, and we can, of course, make our goal happen. And this is what we need to do. It's not difficult to, as I said before, as human beings, our final mission is to fulfill ourselves as humans. So a humanitarian goal, if you can combine that in your daily life with your job, this is something that it is fantastic. This is how I see that. Not all of professionals can have this opportunity to combine these two things. So if you can manage to achieve this is really important.
Yeah, that's a great goal that you have, and I think usually people start these sort of businesses because of some personal story, or they're personally affected them or their family by one of these diseases, And I was wondering is there something like that affected your, the reason why you started the company, or why did you decide to?
Yes, there is always a personal story behind the professional trip, the professional journey. I'm a pharmacist, so I also on education, this is my degree. So I have started early when I was 18 to work in healthcare. So to me, it's really important to, now that I'm 50 years old, to have managed to have this all these years serving patients, serving people, offering relief to people with diseases. And among these people, there have been many relatives of mine,
Mhm.
and it's really important when you can offer this opportunity also to your people. So there are personal stories that I can recall. And of course, every day that I can manage to achieve my goal, I remember also them. This never ends. This is, a tough mission, but offers you much of joy and an accomplishment in the personal life and the professional life also.
I do have actually a personal story to tell. Some time ago, I used to work for a parallel import company. So they were doing parallel import for very some rare drugs, like for cancer. And a big business for them were the orphan medicines. So they were used to buy them in Eastern Europe, Central Europe, and sell them in the Netherlands, in Norway, Sweden, and so on, and they would make good profits. But the founder had also knew that he's on a mission, and each time, sometimes you would get drugs which would have like a very short shelf life, and well, technically you could sell them. But what the founder would do, he would actually donate. He would go locally where the drugs were stored. He would buy them out from the distributor, and he would donate the drugs to the local clinic. And sometimes it would be like a box of pills worth 5 6 thousand $10,000 and
Yeah,
euro and more. Even though he was a very like commercial, the guy, it was a Danish company. The CEO, he was trying to combine the mission. He was getting accessible drugs to and making some money with this. So that's my personal story with orphan drugs.
good
uh,
story, good story.
Okay, I have a question. So, what strategies have you found most effective in improving like patient access to orphan medicines in the European markets? Because you had Greece, Cyprus, so you might have something there.
Yes, we use a lot of data and analytics, of course, because we need to support our argumentation. As I told you before, there are specific stakeholders, usually payers, who want to be convinced to reimburse these new therapies.
Hmm.
So for us, we are using the data and analytics to support and improve the decision making on how to prioritize our work, where to go first, because this is also important for us across all the regions that, as I mentioned before. And of course, these decisions, the daily decisions that we are making, they are defining the operational success. They either solve problems or they can create new ones if not well made. By providing ourselves with right data, we minimize the percentage of the inaccurate responses and actions of ourselves and our teams. And of course, also myself, when I make a decision, I want to be sure I have explored all my options well. So this is really important to start with. Of course, because this is also a new therapies, new businesses, we use this information also to inform our final customers, to inform healthcare professionals on how they can use them optimally to treat their patients. And of course, sometimes we need also to follow up with them to write down what the efficacy and the safety of the new medications are. So this seems to be complicated. It can be very simple, of course, if you can manage to structure this well and to make this work effectively.
So you're using a lot of data. So obviously, data will help you take a better like business decision, because again, you're covering a lot of sales force who goes in the fields and goes to doctors and tries to talk to doctors and explain the certain effects of a medicine, right? But what challenges have you faced in the commercialization process, and maybe how have you overcome them using like data, or maybe like some innovative sales strategies?
Yes, and connecting this to the new technology that also this is the topic of our discussion today. I have experienced many challenges, and I can start with the reluctancy I can see from the salespeople because it's not always easy to engage salespeople to use the new technology. There is a fear that technology will prevail over humans. So, this, of course, cannot be the case in the pharmaceutical industry, but there is also a fear there.
Mhm.
Research has shown that physicians continue to put the interaction with pharma representatives first in their preference. So, I don't see a real risk there. There shouldn't be any fear for no and to use the new technology, to spread the idea of using the new technology. There is nothing to worry about. I overcame this challenge by clearly showing them, my people, the benefit of using new tools and the opportunity, of course, for them to develop as professionals also. Because using new technology, you acquire new skills and you are becoming better and better.
So you basically do you lead by example when it comes to like training sales reps and using technology?
Yes, this is part of their training. Onboarding is important. The onboarding process, we start with that, is critical for any role in any of the industries. But as we said before, the pharma industry is highly regulated. So we need to ensure that everyone complies with the rules that exist. And of course, the science behind new therapies is extraordinary. So you
Mhm.
cannot perform unless you're perfectly trained and equipped with all necessary skills and you are having the tools to do your job properly. So it's not only the new technology, it's all about the training as a whole. And there's a Greek philosopher, probably Aristotle.
Yeah,
Aristotle used to say that we are what we repeatedly do. And then excellence is not an act but a habit. So
yeah.
training is important. This is what we do, simple things. Training never stops. We always learn something new every day, and it's important to learn how to apply this new technology, the new things that we are learning in our daily job to make this easier and more efficient for our customers.
And how do you build a culture of like experimentation, innovation within your sales team?
I start by simply asking them to experiment. So, it's really important to be clear, to talk the walk, but also walk the talk. So
Oh
I
yeah.
start I lead by example. So I'm trying to reserve some of our budgets for new ideas and a
Uh-huh.
different tactical approach.
Okay.
So this is something practically that we are doing. Our promotional budgets are never 100% fixed. There is always room for something new, and I'm always encouraging my staff to come and propose this. And many new ideas are being implemented during the year. It's not that we are fixing something in the beginning of the year and we simply follow this.
Yeah.
Many times we change our plans because new ideas are coming on the table, and by deciding to implement these new ideas, we start something new in the middle of the year. And this has been very, very effective many times in the past, I can tell you.
For example, I'll tell you how we do that at Platform. So I had the marketing department, but we're still, and we want to have our salespeople trained. So what we do is we do a hot chair. So what is a hot chair? A hot chair is like when someone plays the role of the customer, and another salesperson plays the role of the like our role, the salesman, and then we imitate a discussion between them, and we add pressure for into the conversation by bringing a certain scenario like, okay, you are the customer and you want a discount, and then this way we sort of train our salespeople to, on one side, not to give too much, because there is always going to be an ask for the discount. It's very usual in the pharma field, as far as I can see. And on the other side, we want the other party to give out something, but at the same time gain something back. So we want to have a win-win situation. So that's something that we do at Platforce, and yeah, it's been quite transformative, I can say. So yeah, you're free to steal this.
I like it very much. Really good what you are doing.
Okay, cool. But there are times of rejection, and there are set times when the sales are not good and you're not reaching the quota. How do you stay personally? How do you stay motivated, and how do you basically keep a positive attitude with your sales team?
Stefan, I think this is also simple. If you can show me someone who has never failed, I think you can, because there's no one who can claim he has been always successful. I have
Uh-huh.
made a lot of mistakes in my life, professional
Mhm,
life, and I
mhm,
have learned a lot from them. So naturally, I'm a risk taker. Wisdom of life and professional life has shown me how to prioritize a well calculated risk over a more promising yet less secure one. So we are living like that every day. We need to take risks. We are doing business. We need to take risks, calculated risks, of course. So
mhm.
this keeps us in the loop of, there will always be emotions, positive or negative. We need to go on, leave all the negatives behind and stay positive because what we do is positive and we need to see that. What we do every day is positive. What we do every day is affecting people's lives. So it's really important us to stay positive and motivated because it's not easy. As I said, we need to stay strong, continue to work on this mission, and this eventually makes us all happy and good.
Makes sense. So I think that's a part of your Greek mentality, which I actually love. Like Greek people have a great mentality, I have to say.
Yes,
Uh,
yes, indeed.
so I would have this question. So how does your experience in Greece, Cyprus, in these markets influence your approach to sales overall? Like how did it change your approach being Greek, like in sales? Let's say, how does your experience in the like Greek healthcare and like selling in the Greek markets, how did it influence your approach to sales in a way?
Yes, you see, Greece has gone under a fiscal crisis the last decade. You know
Okay.
that. It's on the
Yeah, yeah,
news.
yeah.
Everybody knows. So here in Greece, we have learned how to live with contingency planning. This is our normal.
See, that's what I wanted to learn.
Yes,
Yeah.
contingency planning is our normal day, normal planning. So this is how we have managed to make it out of this shit. I can say sorry
Yeah.
but
It's
this is
okay.
it actually.
It's a podcast. We can do that.
Okay. Okay. Yes, as I told you, I have started over 20 years ago, 25 years ago, and I have been through a lot of difficult times, not only personally, but also my country. So we have been through this as a country and personally, and this has made us tougher.
Okay.
It has made us, been through this and make it out is really important to not to be afraid of anything. This I can say. Everything can happen, and we as Greeks have shown this also throughout all the human. Very simple, but this is the truth. This is the truth.
Gotcha. Okay. So within your 20 years of experience, right? Like let's say someone is just starting in pharma, in particular in sales force in pharma. What advice would you give to these people?
My advice is simple. You always need to do what you like to do. If you
Mhm.
don't like this job, don't start. But if you really like it, go for it. I have never regretted my decisions and my journey to this, to healthcare all these years.
Mhm.
And I think that this is the secret, I can say. It's common, but this is really important. Like and love what you do. Everything else is coming then.
Love and like what you do. That's great advice. So that's the advice we would give to all the people starting in pharma sales because it is a tough market, very sort of closed, different from other markets, very regulated. So it has its own specifics, but you gotta love what you do and you have to start with a mission. Like for example, I think it's very important to have a mission when you start working in pharma because pharma being untransparent gets a lot of hate and a lot of, bad reputation. And this is not true. I see very good people in pharma who want to do good, like yourself, right? And you have to be ready for criticism if you start with sales in pharma. Cool. I don't have, to be honest, I don't have any more questions. That would be it, unless you have any questions for me.
No, once again, thank you very much for this opportunity. I really like that. And as a summary of our today's discussion, I can say that if you have decided to play and win, and this applies to all organizations, but more in pharma, this winning aspirations needs to be embraced by the entire organization. I would like to mention that because it's really important across all levels, all hierarchies. If you don't manage to have the people buy in, most probably you will fail. So it's really important. We are under a mission which is important. We have discussed about the humanitarian nature of this mission. So it's really important, not only you can be motivated, but also the entire organization to get this buy-in and ensure that everyone follows you and follows this mission with you. To me, this is important, and I would like to close this with this message, which is simple but really important.
Okay, and on the part of the podcast, we'll say Evcharisto, Sotiris.
Παρακαλώ. And nice to meet you, Stefan. You're a great guy.